that's where I sort of felt like reassured when I was listening to Brian Cox earlier. I was like, yeah, Brian Cox, that beautiful man, is just going to talk about this and make it so simple for me. And I'm so going to understand why the earth is definitely not flat. Yeah. And like, I was still like, I don't understand. I still don't understand.
Hello! Welcome to Believe, the Conspiracy Theory podcast. I'm Phil Green.
And I'm David Ferguson.
And this is a podcast all about the world's craziest conspiracy theories. And this week, it's a huge one, isn't it?
Oh my God. It doesn't get much bigger than this. Flat out enormous.
Flat out enormous.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. This is a podcast all about the world's craziest conspiracy theories. In each episode, we bring on a fellow comedian. That comedian has picked a conspiracy theory they want to talk about. It might be a conspiracy theory they believe. It might be a conspiracy theory they don't believe. Or it might just be a conspiracy theory they've heard and they want to know why the hell it happened in the first place. And that's what we're here to do, isn't it?
Yes, we may just be comedians, but we are researchers at heart.
Yes. Well, we got ChatGPT, and that counts as research no matter what anyone says. If you enjoyed this podcast and you'd like to come and see us do some live shows, we're doing some, aren't we?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, if you just look in the show notes below, you'll see our links to all our live shows. We're going to be doing the Leicester Comedy Festival in February, and we're doing our own solo shows. And then we're doing the Believe podcast, so you could like spend the whole evening with us.
You could spend the whole evening with us. David's going to be doing his show, then I'm going to be doing my show, and then we're going to be a live podcast recording on 2 dates in February. So go into the show notes of any of our shows or on our social media channels, and you will find the link there as well. Now, where can people find us on social media?
Well, we're all over social media because we're very, very modern people. We're on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and we are Believe Conspiracy Pod.
Yes, it's where we put up exclusive content relating to the conspiracies we've been talking about. Photos, videos, loads of stuff. We want to know what your opinion on the conspiracy is. We are hungry to know, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. You can email us on believeconspiracypod@gmail.com and let us know how you're feeling, how we're doing, what you'd like us to investigate.
Yes, we want to know the conspiracies that you would like us to cover on this podcast. So drop us an email and we'll add them to the list and we'll find a comedian that wants to talk about that conspiracy, won't we?
Oh, yes, we will make them talk.
We'll get to the bottom of it. Also, if you like this podcast and you would like to help us boost it a little bit, you could do that absolutely free and we will love you forever for doing this. Go onto Spotify, go onto Apple, go onto Amazon. Just give us a little 5-star review. We would love you forever, wouldn't we?
Yes, we would. Because I need the support.
He needs the support and the validation.
Yeah, I want to know that you love us.
Yeah, and that's the only way you can show us. Please go on there.
Please.
5 stars.
5 stars.
Now George is here.
King George himself.
Yes, he's here. He's on the tech, looking amazing today, actually.
Yeah, well, he's a finely dressed man.
Finely dressed man. He's always dapper.
He is.
And who is today's fabulous guest?
Today's guest is an amazing comedian. One of the first I ever saw on the scene, and I think he's great. I love him. His name is Jamie Oliphant.
Yes, Jamie Oliphant. Jamie is a fantastic comedian and actor. He's been in the BBC New Comedy Awards. He's won many of the Comedy Store's Gong shows. He also had a great debut out at the Edinburgh Fringe a few years ago with his show, The Oliphant in the Room.
Oh, that wordplay.
You love that, don't you? You love good wordplay.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So we covered this before. He won't go and see a show without good wordplay. It's a belter, got 5-star reviews, and he's a wonderful comic and a great MC as well.
Oh, yeah. I went to see that show and it was amazing.
We're very excited to have him. And what is the conspiracy that Jamie has chosen?
Is it a conspiracy?
Wow.
Today's topic is the Earth is flat.
The Earth is flat.
Flat.
Let's bring on Jamie.
Get out of the rabbit hole.
It's a fake. Every single bird in the sky is a robot.
It's fiction.
Doubt your government.
It's an urban legend.
Like if they're actually spraying something in the sky.
No way.
A stream of absurdity.
It's a total fabrication.
Welcome to the podcast, Jamie Oliphant! The Oliphant is in the room! So excited, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good. Thank you for having me.
That's all right. Normally, we don't allow guests on that have higher hair than me, but we've made an exception for you.
Yeah,
it's
thank
high.
you.
It is high.
It's very high today. I sort of looked at it and I was like, ooh, we are going high. This is like Jimmy Neutron levels of high.
It is, isn't it? I'm impressed.
Thank
I've got to
you.
say.
I did it for you.
Thanks,
Honestly,
man.
did it for
and
you.
we appreciate that. We appreciate that. You've just come back because you've not been well for a while, have you?
No, I've been out of the picture a little bit. I had pneumonia like last month, so that took me out for like about 3 weeks, and then had my first gig back in a month on Saturday, and that was really fun. And pneumonia, not a fun one. Don't recommend it.
No. I mean, you've had a similar thing.
Yeah, COVID.
Yeah.
And I was hospitalized with it.
Oh man.
So I was in hospital for 24 days. So you beat me if you've had it for a month. But it's awful. You're coughing. It's just
and it is a competition.
It's just it is a competition.
Yeah.
I'm really glad.
Well, the whole world had
brought
shut
my
down
game.
because of my disease. Did yours?
That's very true. That's very true. No, yeah, exactly. I would happily give you that. Yeah. No, I mean, no, I would not. But
No, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, and I'm really sorry that you had it, man. I know it's not COVID, but like it's COVID pneumonia. So
it's a weird one, isn't it? It's just like that kind of pressure on your lungs, that kind of situation where you just, you just.
Are your lungs still hurting? Do they still hurt now?
So they're actually fine now. It's been like the first week where it's kind of been okay. I've been able to kind of walk and do like some very light exercise this week and stuff. But I still get out of breath really easily if I'm like walking up a steep hill and stuff. But yeah.
And have you been able to do acting?
I attempted to when I was in the middle of the illness. I like 2 weeks in, I got sent an audition. It was for a commercial, and I had to play like this reassuring boyfriend who was talking to his partner and trying to let them know everything was okay. But I was literally sweating through my eyeballs, and
so you look the least reassured you
least reassuring you could possibly be. And needless to say, I did not get a call back, and I actually haven't had any auditions since we said.
If you'd been applied for roles for like Dying Man, that would have been perfect.
Dying Man, I would have nailed it.
You nailed it, yeah.
That's it. I had one over summer where it was for a Danish cheese advert, and I had to be a panicked Christmas shopper who was looking for Christmas presents for his partner. And I came in, it was the day after one of the really rubbish England games, and I was like, 4 pints, majorly hungover. It does not take me much, and I was like, the beer was just dripping out of me, and I didn't see the script beforehand. They just sent me in, and they were like, right, you're panic Christmas shopper, let's go. And everything just went right. And I got the job. So
what you're saying is drink before auditions.
Drink before them. And you never know what's going to happen.
No,
but that's great. And it was, and it went really well. So, but it was a good time. Yeah, filming in Denmark.
That's cool, man. That's really exciting. Yeah. That's good. Did you get any free cheese?
I'm you know what? I'm lactose intolerant. So I didn't tell them that.
Did you tell them that in the audition?
No, I didn't. I told them that in the car on the way to the set, and they were like, "Don't worry, the boyfriend's my partner in the shoot was going to be eating the cheese." So nice. that was cool.
I mean, in fairness, Noel Fielding presents Bake Off and famously doesn't eat cake.
He doesn't eat cake.
So he doesn't eat baked goods. And
plot twist, didn't I know that?
Yeah. So there's a chance for us, really.
Yeah.
So I eat cake.
Yeah.
I eat cake.
So just Bake Off producers. He eats cake.
I would eat it all on screen.
You and Alison Hammond, I've got to say, would be a magnificent combo. I would love to see that. That would be so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I now want to be on Bake Off, and I didn't know that I had that ambition. So
1,000%, I could so see you doing.
Yeah,
I do need to ask you a question though, Jamie.
Yeah.
4 pints.
4 pints. I know. I'm so gone after 4 pints. That is, that's just my constitution.
Oh my God! Yeah. Like, I mean, even I could drink 4 pints and not be hungover. And
you nearly died twice.
I've nearly died twice, and I'm not a drinker. But my mother used to say like alcohol pops were a mixer. So
yes, I love a mix. I love an alcohol pop, like Smirnoff Ice. That's always a goodie.
Smirnoff Ice over Bacardi.
Do you find the come down after alcohol pops worse than the come down after beer?
I find it better.
Do you?
I find it a cleaner hangover. So that's when I was younger. I'd always have like even now I kind of go for like a rum and coke. Like usually if I'm drinking beer, I'll just do 2 beers and then I'm kind of out. I'm very boring like that now, just because I feel like I cannot function if I've had like 3 the next day. I feel like I'm just like. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm being a dick. I don't.
No.
So I don't do any of that. I'll maybe have a Baileys at Christmas.
Love a Baileys. I used to until the lactose thing kicked in. But they've got the. Have you tried the almonds?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And this conversation just proves how much older we're getting.
Yeah, that's it. We've done lactose intolerance and breathing issues, and you know what, Zimmer frames. Bloody love them. You know.
Do you know what? Like you don't go when you like 21, you go off to college or whatever. No one goes to Dubai and goes, "Have you got an Almond Baileys?" It's not a thing.
This is it. This is very much like a mid 30s, early 40s combo. I love it. Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Conspiracy theories.
Yes.
How do you feel about them?
I'm always interested.
Yeah.
Because, I love anyone with passion. And when anyone gets going about someone, when someone's got a story to tell or just, a point they want to put across, when they say it with such conviction, you just can't help but listen to it,
Yeah. That's a fair point that not many people have made, actually, because it's a bit like comedy. It's like when someone's talking about something they're really passionate about, even if you're not into it, you just want to listen because of the passion for it, right? So
yeah, hugely. It's really captivating. So even if it is kind of something you completely disagree with, like it's kind of interesting just to give it like a little bit of time a day, just to kind of hear it out and then just be like, all right, where's this coming from?
Yeah. Yeah. Have you met a conspiracy theorist other than this one?
I mean, I feel like I don't want to out any people, but I've been on so many comedy car journeys where they really start coming out, and I feel like the comedy community is a
crazy.
sort of, is crazy,
yeah.
and it's a breeding ground in crazy, and there's so many different types of crazy, and so I always enjoy hearing those conspiracy theories on those car journeys.
I find, and I don't want to stereotype, that often it comes from the older comedians, let's say.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And not saying it exclusively, but definitely there's a thing. People get older, and not all of them, but definitely some people kind of start to have a huge distrust
in the system.
Yeah.
And maybe like disenfranchised, and maybe there's like dark forces at work.
Yeah.
And
Unexamined life is not worth living.
No.
I like that.
Tell you what, it's never a boring car journey, though, is it?
No, it's always fun, and it just sort of it keeps you awake as well on those on those
and you
roads.
need to be, yeah.
You really do, yeah. So I think that kind of, the I'm a huge coward in case anyone didn't know, and I'm always quite afraid, as well as interested when someone does get going, because you're like, I don't know whether I can express an alternative opinion here. They're going to be able to.
That's the thing, you don't know, do you? It's like, are they going to get angry with you, or are they prepared to have an actual debate about it, like an open dialogue, and listen to your point of view? And that's the issue.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because you're good. Like you do listen to the other side, and you're not sort of. It's not like your way is the only way. And we've done some conspiracies here where you have started to go, actually, maybe this isn't quite as legit as I thought.
Doing this podcast has definitely shifted me towards the non-believing side of things. Like there's sometimes you hear it out and go, oh, this is not real. This is not true. And where I'd been before, I'd be like, oh, I'd entertain that. But there are things that that I believe in. I believe in Bigfoot, and
nice.
I believe in Madonna. No, that's stupid.
We all believe in Madonna.
We all believe in Madonna.
As long as Madonna believes in herself, we believe in Madonna.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do.
So the Earth is flat. Okay, so this is, well, you guys both know, this is the big one, right? It doesn't get much bigger than this. We've done JFK, we've done moon landings. And Roswell, this is like the other massive one. So the flat Earth theory is an age-old concept that asserts that the Earth is flat rather than spherical. This theory dates back to ancient civilizations, but has resurfaced in recent times, fueled by certain fringe groups and individuals who reject established scientific evidence. While the scientific consensus confirms that the Earth is an oblate spheroid, meaning it is mostly round with slight flattening at the poles, the flat Earth theory challenges this widely accepted view with arguments that invoke a range of misconceptions, understandings of physics, and skepticism towards mainstream science. So the thing about this is, for a lot longer in history, people have believed the Earth is flat than round, because up until sort of a few hundred years ago, everyone thought the Earth was flat. And then scientists went, actually, it's round. And then for a few centuries, everyone went, yeah, it's round. And then at the end of the 18th century, people started doubting whether what we were being told. And that's kind of snowballed from there, and it's gone through fits and starts. Have you guys ever met a flat earther?
I haven't met a flat earther, no.
You haven't?
No.
You have, I know.
Yeah. I was talking to one before today's episode just to get the information. Genuinely believes the Earth is flat. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe the Earth is flat. But it's really weird doing the show and going like, oh, this is the one I don't believe in, but I know so many people that do believe in it.
Yeah.
And I will be presenting their arguments because they're very passionate about them. Mm-hmm. The number one argument is the horizon.
Yes.
What is the horizon argument? So I was listening to a guy talking about this earlier on the podcast, and I was trying to kind of grapple with what he was saying. What is the horizon argument?
It's the horizon is flat. No matter how high you go up, it's flat. You cannot see the curve of the Earth. And any images that there are the curve of the Earth, and this is true, like have been doctored, like a GoPro, like someone doing skydiving, and they've got a GoPro image of the Earth, and it's been warped in the photograph. It's actually not warped when you see it, so we don't see the curve of the Earth. So
the curvature thing is a big argument for it, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And also aeroplanes. People, have you seen the little videos on YouTube? There's people that's a flat earthers who go on aeroplanes to take a spirit level with them to just prove that at no point other than when they're landing does the plane doesn't dip its nose because of the curvature of the Earth.
That's wild.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
for that to be an entire sort of basis of the theory.
Yeah.
It seems to be very much like that kind of theory based upon if I can't see it and understand it, it doesn't exist.
Yes, exactly. And
like women.
But in your world,
in my world,
but you're right. That's a big thing with a lot of conspiracy theory. What I see, I believe, and only what I see, I believe.
Yeah.
No matter how much documented evidence there is to the contrary, I've seen it with my own eyes, so therefore it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, I was trying to, like earlier today, I was trying to watch some Brian Cox videos, like explaining it. And in his most layman terms, and I was like, I watched one where he's talking to Holly and Phil, and I was like, even this, I'm struggling with the science behind it. And I'm just like, I'm not really a sciencey person. So it's just such a complex thing as to why it is spherical.
Yeah.
And that, I think, might be the core of like the sort of misunderstanding.
Totally agree. It's as soon as because that's the thing for non-sciencey people, then we just kind of like glaze over when people start talking about it because like it's so difficult to comprehend. It's much easier for people to go, well, I see that, therefore that's fact.
Yeah.
More than anything. So historical roots of flat Earth theory. The idea that the Earth is flat is one of humanity's oldest cosmological conceptions. Ancient civilizations, including the Mesopotamians and Egyptians believed in a flat Earth, often visualizing it as a flat disk floating in a primordial ocean. In ancient Greece, philosophers initially hypothesized a flat Earth through the 4th century BC. Scholars like Aristotle and Pythagoras presented evidence of the Earth's sphericity, noting the curvature of the horizon and the shape of the Earth's shadow on the moon during a lunar eclipse. So there's been sort of officially, that wasn't the prognosis of scientists, although scientists, I guess, didn't really exist in that point. But there's often been this debate about whether it's flat or whether it's curved. Despite growing acceptance of a spherical Earth in ancient Greece and later among medieval, Islamic and European scholars, a few scholars and writers continued to support the flat Earth perspective. With the advent of the age of exploration in the 15th and 16th centuries, evidence from global navigation further solidified the Earth's roundness in the public and academic consciousness, effectively rendering flat Earth belief obsolete for centuries. So it went away and then made a comeback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have why it made a comeback?
I do, but talk about it.
Eric Dubay?
No, that's not the guy. It's Samuel Rowe Botham. But talk about Eric Dubay.
Okay, so Eric Dubay was a YouTuber, and he put on YouTube, he put a 6-hour treatise on why the Earth was flat. And this was about 2010. And it set the world on fire, certainly the conspiracy theories on fire. And it's a compelling video. Now, I looked for it for this show and I couldn't find it, but it is still out there because I watched it again recently. But not for this.
6 hours?
6 hours. 6 hours. I love watching a long documentary. I watched someone do a documentary about why the Chibnall era of Doctor Who was the worst era of Doctor Who. And it was like 7 hours. It was a video essay and I watched it all and listened to it all. Anyway. But
I think that needs 7 hours in fairness.
Absolutely. Well, it was just shit. That there we go. Chibnall should be in prison for what he did to popular culture.
That, yeah.
Oh my God. Jodie Whittaker could have been a good doctor if she could have acted. But anyway, no, gotta stop. I have very strong feelings about Doctor Who and why it's over. Anyway, my point, we need to cut the Doctor Who stuff out because we will just get people hating us. But Eric Dubay, long video, and he sort of reinvigorated the idea of the flat Earth and talking about the flat Earth. Now, there were other people that talked about it. even David Icke, to a certain extent, he talks about the holographic nature that we live in.
Does David Icke believe in a flat Earth?
No, he's more about that reality is a simulation.
Yeah.
And like Saturn is doing stuff to us, and the moon is doing stuff to us, and he makes a compelling argument. I mean, go down a David Icke rabbit hole. You're there for years. It's so much fun. But Eric Dubay talking about the flat Earth, he just shows. Basically, any argument about the flat Earth now is from that video.
Okay.
People took clips from it. However, the thing about Eric Dubay, he did a load of podcasts, conspiracy theory podcasts, not ours, and then he kind of went neo-Nazi and started saying stuff about eugenics and whatever. So it came out of the blue. Like it was like, oh, okay, dude, like you were kind of building a social following, and then he was like, stuff that I don't want to repeat. I was like, and that kind of quieted him. However, he'd opened the can of worms, and people were using the things that he said. People were coming out and saying, "Yep, I'm a flat earther." Like I said, I genuinely, I was in conversation with a friend of mine who's a flat earther, saying like it took years. 30 years. I'm 30 years old, and I've decided that I'm a flat earther.
Yeah, there were a lot of young people, because Jamie and I were talking about this before the podcast, and you see them at these conventions and stuff, and they're like, they're really passionate about it, like you were saying at the start, and there was a frightening amount of young people. I watched one documentary today that said in the US, it's something like 60% of under 35s aren't totally convinced of a spherical Earth. Doesn't mean they all believe in a flat Earth, but they're not totally convinced.
They're skeptical.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. That's an insane number, 60%.
Yeah. I mean, most of the population still believe the Earth is spherical if we take the entire US population, but it is still slightly concerning that in younger people. And I wonder if that is things like YouTube and social media and disappearing down those rabbit holes, and the idea of just challenging everything, right?
It's probably at the start of like that kind of YouTube era as well. YouTube kind of started off kind of post Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake, right? It was kind of, and that was what, like 2007,
mid 2000s, yeah, around that. Yeah.
So it's kind of like starting on that wave, and so it's getting the peak of that internet traffic, and then it's kind of creating a movement off the back of it, and then that's just kind of spiraling, and then that's when as well, you probably just had unchallenged videos in that kind of time just absolutely dominating the algorithms as well. Yeah,
that's true, because I think that YouTube's policies weren't quite as stringent as they are now, so things could just take off. There's no kind of checks and balances on them. So and even now, I mean, you could still put pretty much whatever you want on it. It's just that they will maybe
demonetize.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, shadow block you so that not everyone's necessarily getting it, depending on what it is. I mean, even some of our stuff, which we don't think it's that controversial, but some of that stuff has been shadowed because
people don't want to know the truth.
People don't want to know the truth. Yeah, we're revealing the truth. But I think you're right. I think that is it. I mean, this is a very modern example of it, but there have been sort of periods in history where this has kind of come back in, but this seems to be like a prolonged 20-year thing where it's just grown and grown and grown.
It's it just seems to be like a movement based off a few very vitriolic passionate and very charismatic people talking about this kind of thing, getting carried away, creating a massive movement. And
That's true.
I just think there's a lot of Terry Pratchett fans.
Yeah.
Because in Discworld, there's four elephants on top of a giant turtle or tortoise,
something like that.
I always meant to read the Discworld books, and I just never have. Anyway, so I'm not that clued up on it, but it's what is interesting about that. That's one of the arguments, that it's hiding in plain sight. Discworld, a very, very popular series of books, and the idea of things being flat. Because if you're going to take in the flat Earth mythology, you have to take in other aspects as well. So biblically, we're under the firmament, which is like a glass dome, so to speak, which separates us from the waters of the universe, and we're like basically in a bowl, and the stars and the sun and the moon are close to Earth. So if you go down the flat Earth storyline, the sun isn't that far away, the moon isn't that far away. And one of their big arguments, and this is the one that gets me out of all the arguments. If you look at sunbeams, crepuscular light, is that it? The angle of that isn't from so far away. It's you can see the triangle, you can see where the apex would be. I was like, oh, the sun is just there. Sun is close,
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to this conspiracy theorist, this flat earther, talking about it earlier today, and he said the meaning of horizon is the horizon, the horizontal zone I can see, and that's what he defined it as. And he said that is the definition of horizon, and then he said that's what I define it as, and other people tell me I'm wrong, but that's what I define it as. And I was like, that's the core of your belief, is taking something, making it mean something that you want it to believe, and then just creating this whole thing.
So it's like your own horizon.
Yes.
Everyone has their own personal horizon.
Everyone has their own, and then it comes down to perspective.
Yeah.
Because it's really not really about what you can see.
Well, if you're clear about your definitions, even though that might not be the accepted definitions, then you can talk about it. Like one of the things I hate in social media is people just blasting you with all these different definitions, and no one's talking about the same thing, and it's like, but even though they might be using the same words, because I mean this and you mean that, and but if you're very, very clear about what your definition is, you can go from there.
Yeah.
Because, but yeah, the Earth's not flat. No.
I heard there was a lot, like you mentioned, the biblical stuff. Like a couple of the guys that I was sort of listening to on the TikToks and the podcasts, I consistently, they were like quite big believers, like quite big Christians. And I was kind of wondering, is that like a standard thing with flat earthers?
It is, because and they make this point that nowhere in the Bible does it state that the earth is spherical.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I'm not sure it necessarily states it's flat, but it doesn't say it's spherical.
It said, like, one of the guys said, he said the earth described in the Bible as the four corners of the earth.
Yes, that's it. The four corners of the earth. That's where it comes from.
And then, but then they were like, oh, but then that could be a mistranslation. That could be something that they've taken and mistranslated into English as well.
That is very likely, and I've heard that a lot. But it absolutely depends on how you define it, because we still refer to the four corners of the earth. We're just talking about the poles. We're talking about the ends of what do you call them?
No, south, east, and west.
Yes. So therefore, that's how we define it as people who believe in the spherical Earth. But you're right, and so we don't know how they were defining that in those scripts.
That's wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's nuts. But you're right. There's definitely a strong parallel between real devout Christians and people who believe in this.
Yeah. It seems to be like it's like a prerequisite of the argument is that you believe in God and you sort of kind of literally interpret the Bible, and therefore you believe the earth is flat, or I'm not quite sure the link.
I mean, having grown up in a very religious country, like there's that sort of Presbyterian point of view of like the Bible is absolutely the word of God and absolutely the truth, and the Bible does talk about the firmament, and which is this glass dome that we live under, and the moon and the sun are very, very close by, and the stars are very close by, and that connotes a flat Earth. I mean, the Quran does that as well. Not that I mean, I've read the Quran, but not the Hadith and all that. I haven't done any of that. But so that, if you believe in the Bible, then you have to believe that the Earth is flat. I more of the point of view that the Bible is a series of stories that helps describe things, but isn't necessarily the truth. Mm-hmm. Which was a very Catholic point of view of like, it's kind of like that. Like one of the things I love in Catholicism is when Adam and Eve eat of the apple, that's a metaphor for they had sex. And that's in Catholicism, that's Catholic dogma. And I always think that, well, no, they ate an apple. Like, no, they had sex, and I like that. And then they were ashamed, because we all know that post-nut clarity. Anyway, but do you know what I mean? Like if you sort of take the Bible on board, and like the Book of Enoch and all that, they talk about the earth being flat. If the earth was flat, we'd have winds that wouldn't stop. And
that'd be amazing.
No, that would be horrific, because we have wind.
They never stop.
Like just constantly. It's just think of a bullet that just keeps gaining momentum.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like so, if the earth was flat, there would be there'd be nothing stopping it. I mean, part of the reason that the UK is hot is because of the I forgot the name of it. That we get warm water because of the
El Nino.
No, it's why can't I remember this?
The Gulf Stream.
The Gulf Stream. Thank you. Jamie Oliphant to the rescue. And it's the Gulf Stream, and that keeps us warm. And that's and it's things like the Gulf Stream that make me go, well, the Earth isn't. Because if it was flat, then we wouldn't get the Gulf Stream, and we would be frozen. Because really, we should be. I mean, I grew up in Northern Ireland. We were frozen. We got Arctic winds, and when I was growing up, like.
There's not much separating you and the rest of the world, is there?
No. And oh gosh, like Northern Ireland.
It is chilly. I was in Belfast like a few months ago, and it was July, and it was breezy for a July day. Yeah.
I used to wake up in the morning and there'd be snow outside, and because the school I went to was like down a major road, I would leave like hopped up for the snow, and as I get the bus and like 5 minutes down the road it'd be like sunny and hot. I'm like, oh good God, but I was coming from the frozen north,
It's why that bridge that Boris Johnson was suggesting between Scotland and Northern Ireland would just never have worked, would it? Can you imagine driving across that?
That would have been the windiest.
It would have been the windiest possible.
The scariest drive in the world.
Well, that was after Brexit, because Brexit means that there will be a united Ireland. So, and the people that voted for the people that voted for Brexit in Northern Ireland were the ones that don't want a united Ireland. It's like you do realize if you vote for breakfast, who wouldn't vote for breakfast? If you vote for Brexit, then
I guess Brexit's kind of like the same as the flat Earth, because it's just like if you talk it into existence.
Exactly true. But also I think that thing about the religious, the tie between religion and conspiracy theories in general is a strong one, because if you are someone who wants to believe in something, you are prone to that, right? Because you whether you've grown up with it or whether you've come to face it, it's come to you later in life, you want to believe in something. And also it's a community thing, right? You're part of a community, and if you, whatever religion you believe in, like in Ireland, people go to church on a Sunday, it becomes a community thing, and this is just another community. It's another thing to believe in. It's another thing to follow that helps you make sense of the world, right?
Yeah.
With like-minded people.
It is. And it's, I think if you go through those difficult spells, it's it's going to sound incredibly lame, but it is nice to have friends.
Yeah,
and it's
nice
just nice to have
friends.
friends. And even with spouting absolute shit, it is just nice to have mates.
It is.
And, I guess there's that kind of kinship, and especially like if you're going through an extremely lonely period in your life, and, you're in a vulnerable kind of situation, and then if someone feeds you this kind of narrative, and it's kind of like, it's conditional love. Like, I will love you if you believe X and Y, and then that you can be part of the community and you're welcomed into the group and stuff. And,
Yeah, it is very conditional, but
it's so conditional, isn't it? It's, There
must be some that join these groups and go, and after a while they're like, yeah, I'm not sure about this. But then you've made your friends. You're like, well, I'm in now, so just have to carry on this narrative.
Like Scientology.
Like Scientology. Or religion in general.
Like religion in general.
Yeah.
So resurgence of the flat earth theory in modern times. Despite overwhelming scientific evidence, the flat earth concept re-emerged in the 19th century as a counterculture movement challenging mainstream science. Samuel Rowbotham, an English writer, published Zetetic Astronomy, Earth Not a Globe, in 1865, claiming that observations and common sense supported a flat Earth model. Rowbotham's argument laid the foundation for a wave of modern skepticism against scientific institutions, particularly in groups that prioritize observable evidence over theoretical or mathematical conclusions. The Flat Earth Society was formally established in the mid-20th century and continues to attract a small but vocal following today. The internet has amplified the spread of flat Earth ideas, providing a platform for flat Earth proponents to share content and recruit followers from around the world. Flat Earthers believe that at the edges of the Earth there is a 150-meter ice wall protected by NASA agents with guns.
That's why, I was watching that clip of on YouTube of those guys going out to that ice wall, and they were like, there it is. And it's just like this Arctic wall, which is like falling apart due to global warming. And it's like, it's not the wall of the continent, man. What are you talking about? But it does, like, if you saw it with your own eyes, it does look like, a science fiction movie happening in front of you.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of like, but it's like, that's just what we're doing to the planet, mate. That's, know.
I quite like the idea, though, of NASA protecting us with guns.
I love that. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Like the aliens come.
Well, I mean, to give a bit of context to the flat Earth, the sort of layout of it is the North Pole is the very center. So if you think of a vinyl record, it's the bit in the middle, and then the Antarctica is actually the ice wall, and it surrounds. So it's the lip, so it keeps the waters in, and the idea is, and this gets debated, that beyond the ice wall, which is Antarctica, is more land, and there are ancient maps that show lands outside of that we don't account for. And there's also the idea of the hollow Earth as well. So it's flat and hollow, so you can go into it. And then you have Admiral Byrd.
Which is not very far.
Not well, flat is relative.
Yeah.
How flat it is, the idea is that like it's like a, I don't know.
And that's where Kong is, as we all know.
Well, yes. But again, like watching those stupid movies that I really had fun watching. Kong versus Godzilla was so much fun. But like going into the Earth, like that's putting it into popular culture.
Yeah.
And Admiral Byrd, he released a diary. He was talking about the Earth being flat. We've talked about the Earth being flat on here before. The Earth being hollow, sorry. But that's part of flat Earth. And yeah, we know nothing.
We know nothing. The Flat Earth Society Facebook group has over 200,000 followers, but many of those followers are likely to include skeptics, casual onlookers, and debaters rather than committed members. So I was looking at their Facebook page today, and I kind of wanted to follow because it's fascinating. Like it's so, but the thing is, as soon as you follow that, then the algorithm,
your algorithm's going to be ruined.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So you're just pushing similar stuff at you all the time, but it's really interesting because they go on these little trips trying to find the corners of the Earth. They go on these, like I was talking about, the flights with spirit levels trying to prove that it's flat. Like it's mental, but it pulls you in.
That's it. I spent about sort of half an hour just watching videos, and then just after like half an hour, it's just the next video is, and Finland doesn't exist.
This
is why it's not a real country. And
yeah.
like,
we know Finland.
We know it doesn't exist.
We know it doesn't exist. It's pre-established. My bad. It's just I was just fascinated by the level, but that's where it gets really interesting. It's just people talking with so much conviction about something that you kind of feel is an absolute truth, and then someone tells you, no, I think this, therefore it is, and you're like, okay, I'm going to give them the time of day.
Yeah,
this is great.
I mean, whatever you say about it, it's going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah. It's wild, yeah.
So arguments and beliefs of the flat Earth theory. Flat Earth proponents provide a variety of arguments and evidence they believe contradicts the spherical Earth model. Key arguments include visual observation of the horizon. So like you were talking about earlier, flat Earth proponents argue that the horizon always appears flat rather than curved, as they would expect from a spherical Earth. They claim that the apparent curvature seen in high altitude photographs or videos is often due to distortion from fisheye lenses or digital editing. It's the equipment essentially.
Yeah.
You've got to trust your own eyes.
Yeah.
Well, the on the spherical Earth, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid here. On the spherical Earth, the drop of the grade of the Earth, being round, is a drop of 8 miles. Is a drop of so many inches every 8 miles. So you should be able to see it, and you can't at all. So, and that's the argument that the Earth is flat. I really see, this is so weird. I'm arguing for the flat Earth when I'm like, I don't believe this. But there is a video on YouTube, which is really hard to get a hold of. One of the things that I found really interesting when I was researching for this, the flat Earth is right is what I typed into Google, and every video I got up was a flat Earth debunked. This is nonsense, and it's sort of. It almost made me believe it more that it did exist, because like, do you need to go on about how it doesn't? This is stupid. Well, I'm not. I'm flat Earth is real. That's what I'm asking you. Give me something that corresponds to that. And you have to really deep dive on YouTube to find out the flat Earth explained in 5 minutes, which is a really decent video that gives all the good talking points. Yeah. And I came away going, yeah, the Earth is flat. Then I was part of an astronomy club when I was a kid, and I've seen the moon and stuff, and I've seen the curve. But is that YouTube suppressing it, or is that just the counter argument and people making content to counter argue? Because a lot of this stuff, you were saying, when the early adopters of YouTube, often they were some of these people, maybe disproportionately so. So people were able to put like wild theories out there, and people, because it grabs attention.
you click on it. You want to know, like you said, you clicked on one video, takes you down the rabbit hole, next one, you're fascinated, you're gripped by it.
You're stuck. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the day gone.
That's it.
That as well.
Exactly.
That's it. Even though it's absolute garbage, you're like, okay, give me more.
I really miss the days of raw YouTube. Like it's so anodyne now, like and saccharine and just simple. But
stop policing yourself, YouTube.
Oh my gosh! Oh my god! Like the conspiracy theory videos that I saw back then, and they're all gone, and they're hard to, or if they're gone, they're hard to find. You know, there are other.
There were so many whispers. You know, that's I think where I kind of give a lot of time of day to, you know, people talking about the conspiracy stuff, because there were so many whispers about, like, you know, Epstein back in the day. There were so many whispers that there was this like kind of cult-like group that operated in high society who had members of royal families and, you know, members of high society and billionaires all going to one place, maybe like an island or a secret layer.
Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, basically.
Alec Jones, I mean, that's how he became famous. Like, he was a production assistant with John Ronson, and then the thing that broke him out was he went into Bohemian Grove and he filmed it. And I think he was very legitimate at that point. I don't think he's legitimate now. I think he chases the money. But like back then, that was a really big deal, and people, you know, and it shouldn't be something done in secret. There's a very famous
video. More fun when it is, though.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's a very famous video of him confronting a politician, saying, you're a member of Bohemian Grove, and the politician sort of breaks down and says, like, we shouldn't be talking about this. I think it's really dishonorable that you did this.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? You know, the whole Bohemian Grove thing, I'm old enough to remember when that all broke, and it was all very exciting, and
fucking lizard people, man.
Fucking lizard people.
It's insane. But what was the Bohemian Grove thing? Because it was this kind of huge ritual thing with billionaires.
With a big
happening.
owl. Yeah. So it's like a bunch of like CEOs essentially. From, like Musk type. Actually, Musk isn't one of them, but that Musk type character. I think Epstein had gone to Bohemian Grove. I can't remember.
No, Epstein is a separate kettle of fish for that, but it is all sort of related. But it was
that world essentially. So those kind of figures would get together and burn a massive owl. It does exist. It is a thing. It's not that
just footage of it.
Footage of it. It's just, what the fuck are they doing there? The reality is probably not a lot of them sit around talking about how rich they are, but it's
deals are definitely made.
The owl burning thing is weird.
Yes.
It's so easy as well to kind of build like a narrative based off a burning owl. You know, like that's where the rabbit hole kind of comes from, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just,
Like if people found out that comedians all got together once a year and burned a massive owl. Yeah. But that, to be honest, that would never happen in secret because comedians cannot keep a secret.
No.
We need attention.
First thing they would do is go out on stage and talk about the fact they just burned an owl.
Or just do a podcast about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well.
Yeah.
That's guaranteed.
We are whores.
Like and subscribe.
Exactly. Questioning gravity. Many flat earthers reject the concept of gravity, suggesting instead that the experience of objects falling to the ground is due to the upward acceleration of the flat earth. They argue that gravity is merely a theory with no observable evidence. There you go.
Yeah.
I've got a bit more on that in a bit. Flight patterns. Flat earthers often claim that commercial flight routes do not make sense on a spherical earth, but align with a flat earth map, pointing to perceived inconsistencies in direct routes taken by airlines as evidence. So there's a lot of this, like I was saying earlier, on the internet about people taking flights to prove that the earth is flat because of the lack of they say, well, if it was going around it would be dipping all the time.
Yes.
It's like, well,
there's no fighting the direction that the plane's going in.
It's also that thing of there's no observable evidence or there's not understandable evidence for me, my level that I can grapple with. You know, there's no layman definition of exactly why the earth is, you know, round. There's no simplistic way that you can really explain it.
No.
You know?
Well, you say that, but they've taken a spirit level on a plane, so that's.
I mean, that's
science.
Pretty definitive.
Yeah,
that's pretty locked in. Actually, yeah.
I don't think you should be challenging that evidence. NASA and space exploration. Perhaps the most prevalent argument involves a conspiracy theory where flat Earth proponents allege that space agencies, particularly NASA, fabricate images of Earth as a sphere to deceive the public. They believe that all photos from space are digitally created, presenting space exploration as a hoax. I mean, a lot of people would have to be in on this, in fairness.
Yeah.
Like, NASA would definitely have to be in on this if it's true.
I mean, NASA's been called into question before. Have you heard about the moon landings? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, I've kind of like I've definitely gone through my phases of believing the moon landings were faked, and you know, I've definitely. I mean, as a teenager, I didn't get too obsessed with it, but I was just, you know, I really bought the stuff about, oh, you know, the flag, it's just not moving in space and stuff, and you know, yeah, it was. I was, you know, and I think just, you know, there's that Red Hot Chili Peppers song, and you know, they make a very convincing argument.
Yeah,
know.
and they are the prophets of our time.
Yeah,
so,
100%.
yeah.
Anthony Kiedis, actually, yeah, and the
I
other
thought
guy
Bob
who looks
Marley
like Will
was.
Ferrell.
One of.
Poet and a prophet.
Yeah. True.
That's the only Red Hot Chili Pepper song I know.
There's a few more.
Yeah.
Isn't he dating like a...
Yes, that's not talking
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
it's worrying. Yeah.
He's at fucking Bohemian Grove. Anyway, so in 2024, billionaire entrepreneur Jared Isaacman made history by becoming the first person to complete a private spacewalk. The spaceflight part of SpaceX's Polaris Dawn mission saw Isaacman venture into the vacuum of space alongside other crew members in a groundbreaking mission for privately funded space exploration. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Okay.
They brought the 16-year-old up with them.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories surrounding the mission began to circulate online shortly after their spacewalk. Some skeptics claimed the spacewalk footage was staged, echoing long-standing conspiracy theories about the Apollo moon landings. Viewers on X, formerly known as Twitter, were quick to accuse SpaceX of faking the event. That looks just as fake as when NASA faked it, wrote one user, while another skeptically commented, "Until I fly to space, I'm convinced this shit is faked. Anyone with a brain cell could fucking tell."
Wait, so a group of billionaires took a 16-year-old up in space with them? Oh man, that is just so icky or worrying. After this world that we're living in as well. Yeah. I'd just be like, oh no.
I mean, I quite like the fact that they were. I think that's just people really angry about somebody being very rich.
Yeah.
Well, I am definitely angry about people being rich.
Yeah. I think we all are.
You know, it's kind of like that sort of thing with the Titanic submarine vessel. Like someone said, oh, you know, Poseidon
this has gone wrong.
That's it. Yeah.
No one would ever want to go on a space holiday.
Never.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone said that Poseidon is taking his annual sacrifice of billionaires, and I was like, that is outstanding. That's so accurate as to what is happening. I'm willing to get on board with that as well.
Yeah.
Bring back Greek mythology, man.
Yeah,
honestly,
absolutely. It was those were the days.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a lot of skepticism about this one. I mean, actually, I watched the footage. It doesn't look any more or less fake. But I have to say, if SpaceX did fake it, fucking fair play to them.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, they did it well enough that could it be true? Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to admire the effort.
You have got to admire the effort.
He, you know, yeah. There's a lot of effort that's gone into that kind of whole situation. Way more effort than I think has gone into Teslas for my money. I'm just so sorry. I took a taxi ride in a Tesla and I was like, this is a Tesla. This is what it's supposed to, this is like the pinnacle of technology of what I'm sitting in right now. No, absolutely hate Teslas. Sorry, I just need to get that out there.
Yeah. Because you hate the environment, I guess.
Hate the environment.
Yeah.
Despicable. Yeah.
Burn it to hell. Yeah, fair enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Not everyone in the flat Earth world has that version of the world in their heads. Some believe it's a disc, but others that there's an Arctic Circle in the middle and there's the land masses around it. Antarctica is the ice around the edge, but instead of it being in a discrete disc, some people believe, in fact, Antarctica just goes on forever in all directions. And so they believe that the Earth is actually an infinite plane, so it will go on in north, south, east and west, and there is the above and the below. But there's no way of getting from the top to the bottom because it's just infinity of all ice in all directions, so there's no way of getting below the Earth. So there is, that's the thing, even within the flat earthers, there's still debate as to the shape of the flat earth. So some believe it's a disc, some believe it literally goes on forever. So I'm guessing, like you said, over the ice wall, there's another world.
There's more land.
And it just keeps going and keeps going and it keeps going. And then there's those that believe that it is square.
Yeah, that's what I heard. There's the square shape, and then there's the sort of disc kind of shape, like the final disc, like you said. And Yeah, they some of the people in this with the square shape believe there's like four corners,
Yeah,
and the Bermuda Triangle is one of the corners.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's wild.
It is pretty wild. I mean, the square flat Earth theory is like the OG. That's like if you look at the ancient drawings, that's the original design.
Is that the one that takes out some countries and claims that they're like a misconception?
Yeah, like Finland.
Yep. Standard.
Yeah.
Australia.
No, Finland. Yeah.
Australia's not real either.
Australia's not real. Yeah,
No.
apparently Australians are a hologram.
They are. Yeah, so they are actors.
Wow.
Yeah.
We had Heidi Regan on.
Yeah.
And she's from Australia.
She claims
Yeah,
to be from
but
Australia.
she's not. She's clearly an actor.
Clearly an actor. Just
Yeah.
I mean, Inferno's is just full of actors in Clapham right now. You know, it's just absolutely rammed.
Yeah, but that's where they are. That's the thing.
yeah.
Because
Highly
they can't be in
trained.
Australia. So.
No way. That's it. That's they put them all into one place, and that's how it
Kylie, if you're listening to this, I don't mean a word of it.
They just
I
made
love
up
you.
this ridiculous accent and they're trying to sell it to us. We're like, no, man, no one's buying it.
No one's buying it
anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, my father's family, just an absolute lie.
There you go.
Yeah.
See,
It's crazy.
that's the thing. They infiltrate families. This is
Yeah.
the thing.
I mean, that's kind of what was like. That was like the origin of like, what Australia got turned into. Wasn't it? It was like an infiltration, and it was just like, we're going to call this Australia. Yeah.
So the square flat Earth is a variant of flat Earth theories, proposing the Earth is a flat, square-shaped plane rather than a circular disc. This idea is much less common and primarily speculative, with, unlike the others, with few adherents. In the square Earth theory, the four corners would exist at the outermost edges of the Earth, making the boundaries of the square plane. Proponents of this theory typically envision each corner as a distinct geographical boundary, although they rarely specify exactly what is located there. Hypothetically, these corners could be seen as distant, unreachable areas, sometimes imagined as the edges of the world or regions blocked off by natural or supernatural forces. So we had Dom Girardi on the podcast, and he's actually been to or attempted to go to one of the four corners of the podcast, which is the Fogo Island, which is off the coast of Newfoundland.
Oh, wow.
And I think the story he said was that they tried to go out there, but on the day the weather was too bad for the Flat Earthers equipment to work, so they actually couldn't find the corner on that day.
I mean, that's pretty obvious evidence then that it just doesn't exist.
No,
I mean,
you'd think so.
Yeah.
But
that's conspiracy at the highest level. That's how they get to us. You know.
It is. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think they accused him of being a stooge, I think, for Elon Musk.
He was making it happen.
Yeah, that's right. He was making it happen. Exactly. One of the corners of the Earth is said to be the Fogo Island, which sits off the coast of Newfoundland. And arriving there involves 3 flights from New York or Los Angeles, making it feel just about as remote as you can get. Canada's Flat Earth Society believes that Brimstone Head, a massive rock jutting out of the island's northwestern coast, is one of the 4 corners of the flat Earth, designating it that in the 1970s. There's even a museum of the flat Earth located on the island. Hard to find an answer to where it's actually hard to find answers to where any of the other 3 corners are, although the Greek island of Hydra, Papa in New Guinea, and the Bermuda Triangle, as you said, Jamie, have also been suggested.
It's kind of like fan fiction, where everyone is just contributing their own kind of theories to it, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's something for everybody because everyone's contributing something to it. Like, I was watching this guy earlier who, this like fairly normal looking middle-aged bloke, who was just like, it's because after the World Cup, it's very clear to see that the Argentinian football team, after the World Cup from Qatar, they went to Rome first and then Buenos Aires, and there's no reason as to why they would go to Rome first and then Buenos Aires if it did not follow the flat Earth map. And I was like, I wasn't judging him, because I was like, you know what, it's just lovely to see like, men need hobbies, you know, and this is what it's about. And I was just like, I think as well, especially men, when they get into that middle age, they can start to disappear, and especially British men, you see them get that hunch, they put on a fleece, and and then they just shut the world off from themselves. And I thought, it's just lovely to see you engaging with something. And I kind of feel like
At least he's getting out.
he's getting out, and I kind of feel like of all the conspiracies, Flat Earth is kind of harmless.
I'd love to go on a journey to try and find a corner of the earth.
I would love that. That's great. It gets him outside the house. It just gets him moving. And it's just, if this is something that makes, pensioners move around a lot more, then that's great for it. That's like a health kick for the government. That's just free health advice.
That's true. Although apparently the government are trying to freeze them to death at the moment. But
that's very true.
Yeah.
It's the other conspiracy, the reptiles, obviously.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're just coming straight from their owl ceremony to freeze us.
That's it. Yeah. Would you like to go to the corner of the earth?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like I'd love to go to Antarctica, but you're not allowed.
No.
Because NASA's got guns.
NASA there with guns.
Yeah, and it's all like no, none of the nations of the world can go to can own Antarctica. They can't take it over.
Which is why the aliens are there and the Nazis.
I mean, there are weird things associated with Antarctica. That there's Nazi submarines in the 1970s and stuff, but that's a whole other show. But yeah, I would love to do that. I'd love to go on adventures.
Yeah.
I would love for this podcast to be so successful that we do things like that.
If anyone wants to pay for us to go to the Bermuda Triangle, we are up for it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I would do Bermuda Triangle, definitely. Antarctica, maybe less so, but Bermuda Triangle, get me there, baby. I'm 100%.
Be awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. And also while we're there, we can find Amelia Earhart's plane.
Oh, is that where it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So how do flat earthers explain gravity? Flat earthers generally reject the mainstream concept of gravity and instead propose alternative explanations, primarily arguing that objects fall due to density and buoyancy rather than an attractive force. According to this view, denser objects sink in less dense media like air, and lighter objects rise with no need for a force called gravity. Some flat earthers suggest that the Earth itself accelerates upward at 9.8 miles a second, creating the sensation of gravity, while others believe electromagnetic forces or hypothetical ether could be responsible for a downward pull. However, these explanations do not account for observable phenomena like tides, orbital mechanics, or the consistency of gravitational effects at different altitudes. I mean, who cares about that stuff?
I mean, all of that kind of stuff that you just said, there's just so much I struggled in science anyway, but when I hear bad science, my little ADHD brain, the hamster wheel in my head is just what is any of that? That's just, it's so hard to kind of process the multitude of theories, because it's just layer upon layer and of confusion and then distortion and just saying, constantly repeating, I've seen it, therefore it is like this, and that has to be true, and everything. And, and this kind of principle of being unplugged, and kind of deprogramming yourself towards what you've seen, and therefore if you've deprogrammed yourself enough, then you'll kind of have your eyes open. But it's head wobbling.
It is head wobbling, but I suppose the argument here is that so they've come up with a scientific explanation as to why gravity doesn't exist, and why objects fall and rise. If we were taught this logic in school as a kid, as an impression, you would just believe what you're told, right? Because you're a kid and you trust your teachers, you trust the adults in the room. So you're right. In order to believe this, you have got to completely deprogram from everything, all the established. But none of us are scientists, so we don't know. We just believe what we're told.
That's the really difficult thing about it, is just the kind of realm of plausibility and who you're going to listen to. And I mean, that's where I sort of felt reassured when I was listening to Brian Cox earlier. I was like, Brian Cox, that beautiful man, is just going to talk about this and make it so simple for me, and I'm so going to understand why the Earth is definitely not flat. And I was still I don't understand. I still don't understand. And I just felt
even
so
with
bad.
your soft voice,
that
Brian.
soft, beautiful voice, which
so seductive, isn't it?
So seductive. And you just honestly take me away to the Antarctica. I would go to the Antarctica with him.
I would too.
How soft that
I
voice
would too.
is.
We're not gay, and we would go. You definitely would.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
just because I want the holiday.
Yeah. So flight patterns. Flat earthers argue that flight patterns are consistent with a flat Earth model rather than a spherical one, claiming that certain long haul routes make more sense on a flat map. They often point to routes in the southern hemisphere, suggesting that some flights, particularly between destinations like South America, Africa, and Australia, appear indirect or involve unexpected layovers, which they believe is to hide the flat nature of the Earth. Flat earthers argue that on a flat Earth map, these flights would allow a more straightforward paths. However, aviation experts explain that the flight paths are determined by factors like prevailing winds, fuel efficiency, safety, and geopolitical restrictions, which influence the route on a round Earth and explain these seemingly indirect paths.
So if they lose your luggage in one destination, the Earth is definitely flat.
Exactly.
That's 100%. That's like proof. That's 100% proof.
Mate, exactly. And that's happened to me.
Yeah.
So, I'm on board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely. The Earth is flat. Yeah.
Exactly. Thoughts on that?
But the Earth being flat, I don't
The
believe it.
flight paths.
Anytime I see a flat earther, like looking at the videos, the flat Earth explained in 5 minutes. That video talks about the flat pattern. You mentioned about Qatar going to Rome and then Argentina or Central America.
Yeah.
And that looks weird. That flight, and then on a flat Earth it makes more sense.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, you kind of win me over. But
I like the idea that it was the Argentinian football team
Yeah.
are the ones to uncover this dark secret and expose it to the
giant
world. I think that's great.
yeah.
They won the World Cup and then
they've saved us from
Yeah.
these oppressive forces.
exactly.
Yeah.
Fair play to them.
well, the hand of God and all that.
Yeah. Messi is more than just a man. So social and cultural impact of flat earth theory. The persistence of flat earth theory in modern times reflects broader trends in skepticism towards established institutions and the role of internet-based communities in shaping belief systems. Flat earth groups and conferences, such as those held by flat earth societies, serve as platforms where believers can gather, discuss, and challenge mainstream scientific narratives. This phenomenon illustrates how individuals, when part of a group with shared ideas, can reinforce each other's beliefs and create echo chambers that become difficult to penetrate with evidence. Would you like to go to a Flat Earth Society convention?
I mean, I would, just because it sounds like they're having loads of fun.
Yeah.
And, it just comes back to that friendship thing of, it's nice to be loved by people,
Yeah.
Even if it's like temporary and like you're just pretending to fit in, which is, kind of a lot of society is just kind of people like pretending to be like someone else or be like other people so they can kind of make their lives easier by fitting in. Like every workplace I've ever been to is essentially a flat earth society. I'm just like, yeah,
It's true.
There's
a element to it.
exactly. And you are just sort of presenting yourself in a certain way so that you can just stay there for a little bit longer to earn money and purely for that purpose. But you kind of secretly despise everyone that you're working with,
Absolutely. Would you go?
To work, yes.
to a flat Earth Society convention?
I kind of already have. Like
Okay.
I'm not kidding.
But you have. I can so see it.
Yeah, I've got friends that believe in the flat Earth, and
but you're also such a good hang that everyone would just be like, David,
exactly.
go on down.
I think they'd let you in despite not being a believer in this.
Yeah.
Well, I do like talking about it because I really did try to get on board with their point, the point of view of someone who believes in the flat Earth, because I don't. I really did try to get on board because it's exciting. We go, well, this happened and that happened. Well, no, then all the pieces fit. Like and these are credible people. This, it's not some nut job going
Yeah.
And they're nice. And once you have a beer and you're having a conversation, it's like
it's
it
very
makes sense.
easy. That's it.
It's very persuasive.
That's how the Christians got me at school. Like, they just get me the hot chocolates and the donuts, and I was like, I'm so here every week.
Yeah.
The
weak lemon squash.
They
They know how to lure us in.
Yeah.
They're clever fuckers.
And it's really crafty.
Yeah. On one of the YouTube videos I watched, because they're quite good at they do get people with counter opinions into some of these conventions. They invited an actual astronaut to come and speak, and they weren't booing him. They were listening very intently to him. And then afterwards, the interviewer said to him, like backstage, it's like, so you don't believe in a flat Earth? He was like, I've been to space. I can tell you the Earth is round. And they went to another woman, like one of the flat earthers, and said, so you've seen the astronaut, he's been to space, he says it's round. He says, yeah, but he would say that, he's just an actor. And you're like, you cannot reason with that.
It's sort of that bad faith argument. Well,
Yeah.
you would say that because you're black.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
He's an actor from NASA, and
one of the finer acting schools out there.
Yeah, I would love to go to one of these acting schools where they are training these people to be sort of members of society.
I think they're going to get you more appropriate auditions than the ones
That
you've
would
been
be
to
so
recently, man.
fun.
Yeah.
I would really enjoy that.
Yeah.
I want to go to NASA training school so I can just pretend to be an astronaut.
Yeah. I imagine they pay really well as well.
It'd be a great gig.
Yeah, they got loads of money.
That'd be awesome. You know, you get sent up in a rocket by Elon Musk and then you just take some fake photographs and that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just hang out with 16-year-olds and pretend not to be pedophiles. Yeah, that's exactly what
not to be a nonce. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the flat Earth resurgence has also sparked interest among psychologists and sociologists, as it is seen as part of a larger movement of science denialism. Similar attitudes appear in debates on climate change, vaccinations, and other scientifically backed issues. The Flat Earth Society has become a lens through which social scientists study the psychological and social mechanisms that lead people to reject scientific consensus in favour of alternative explanations that align with their worldview or distrust of authority. And that's one of the other points that's made on some of these documentaries, is that often flat earthers do believe in quite a few other conspiracies. And I think that is because there's certain conspiracies that people do believe is like a one-off. Like JFK is one that a lot of people believe. We've done quite a few recently actually that people do buy into. The Shakespeare one, people buy into that. But this is one where, because it's so out there, often this isn't the only thing that people believe.
Well, a lot of Christians believe in the flat Earth, like genuinely, and and
because once you've thrown away any conventional scientific evidence for this, that kind of means you're throwing away any conventional scientific wisdom on anything.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. It just feels like maybe the other stuff is the gateway drug to stuff like this, basically. This is kind of like maybe the MDMA, and then there's like, you know,
We're
the
working our way up to
Kennedy.
this.
This is You
start off with JFK and you gradually...
You build up to it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. JFK is like maybe the alcohol, just like the weed, and it's just like, and then moon landings, and then this is the one forward.
And your first flat Earth society, they're like, hey, welcome to the club. You get here.
Finally, that's it, yeah.
They get cake.
they go.
Hey, if there's cake, I'm there.
Yeah,
if there's
man.
cake, I'm there.
Yeah.
And you're going to be presenting about it. So this is going to be great.
British big.
Yeah, that could be the conspiracy. Is that even real? Is Alison Hammond real? That could be another one.
Yeah, I've never thought she was.
Is she real?
No, but even
She's
for the
just
Big
too
Brother
nice.
days.
It explains so much.
Yeah.
She's too lovely.
Yeah, she's too good.
Yeah.
She's too good at what she does.
Yeah.
You can't be a Big Brother contestant and be good at other stuff.
It's just not possible.
Yeah. At the same time, the internet's role in spreading such theories raises ethical questions for tech companies and media platforms about the responsibility to counteract misinformation. Some argue that unrestricted access to these communities can lead to broader distrust in science, while others advocate for freedom of expression and warn against censorship. This kind of goes back to the whole YouTube thing, right? Because initially we had loads of information about conspiracies, and now, as you and I know from doing all the research, there's a lot of suppression of some of the stuff that was out there, particularly on certain conspiracies. But you can still find good up, but everything is balanced. And even ChatGPT, you know, you put in, tell me about the flat Earth theory, and it'll come back with it, but it will always caveat. There'll always be a load of paragraphs that caveat it, and often there'll be more of that information that caveats the argument for flat Earth than there is for it, if you see what I mean. So but then who's controlling that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What does the AI want us to think?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, because I asked for this occasion, I asked ChatGPT. You know what I'm saying?
GPT.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I asked, you know, like I try, like from a point of view of someone who believes in this, what can you tell me? And it's still caveat, you know.
Yeah, always caveats.
And it's just like, come on, play the game.
Yeah, man.
I even went so far as that I'm writing an article about this. I need the point of view of.
Yeah.
And it just still was all, you know, qualified and kind of. And
I don't think if Musk gets into AI, I don't think this kind of AI, information-based AI, I don't think his is going to have any caveats at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be worrying when AI doesn't have caveats, I think, for the human race, when they're just like, okay, we're ready to press the button.
Yeah.
Now. That's it. Let's just let them destroy themselves.
Because it's just presenting it all as fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I don't think we're that far from AI just going, we've had enough.
Let's just press that button.
Yeah.
And
Google have it now. Apple are about to launch their AI.
I can't stand it. I miss the simplicity of the early internet.
Yeah, but it's much easier to do this podcast with it.
I miss when Google was great. You know, Google is so bad now because it's always, it's pushing the sponsored stuff. It's pushing.
Yeah.
It's AI is just weird as well. Where every time you search stuff and it just comes up with weird things.
Yeah, it very much gives you its opinion, doesn't it?
Yeah, straight away. And
Yeah.
you're like, I was not asking.
I wasn't asking for that.
No.
Just give me the
Who rattled
answer,
your
man.
cage?
Yeah.
Give me the good stuff.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers. Anyway, so the flat earth theory, whilst largely debunked by centuries of scientific evidence, persists as a cultural phenomenon. It reminds us of the ways that misinformation can thrive in the digital age and the importance of critical thinking and scientific literacy. The rise of flat earth communities, both online and offline, highlights a deeply seated mistrust of scientific and governmental institutions. While the belief in the flat earth may seem innocuous to some, it serves as a stark example of how easily misinformation can influence individuals' understanding of the world and highlights the ongoing need for educational efforts that encourage scientific inquiry and critical evaluation of evidence. So, Jamie, is the earth flat?
I want to say yes because I want to be. I want to have all these friends that are waiting for me on the other side of those gates, like with the polar bears with the guns. I want to go see that, and I want to also see that Finland doesn't exist. That would be great, and that would just defy my perception of. That would change my relationship with my Nokia 3310 as well. That would just be absolutely blow that out of the water.
Yeah.
I can't say that it is. There's just. Also, I really like the story of Galileo as well. Like he was the man who proved that the Earth was round, right? And he got locked up for it, and
Rightly so in these people's eyes.
Yeah, absolutely, rightly so. But I can't say that it is.
Okay.
No, the Earth's not flat. It just isn't. It might be hollow. That's
hollow. We know
another.
that.
That's
Yeah.
another
But
conversation.
I should add as a caveat really quickly, actually, but that doesn't mean that I understand why it isn't. That's like so important to say.
What we're saying for Earth is Jamie is open. He's open to being
open to
convinced.
interpretation.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
if you sell me an argument and lock me in a car on a long car journey, I'm going to agree with everything that you have to say.
Just gig with him in Bolton on a Friday night. Do a 4 hour journey back.
Yeah. To be honest, if you're in the audience in Bolton, you tell me that as well, and I'm on stage, I will agree with you. Like, it's just the man who I am.
Especially after 4 pints.
Yes, 4 pints.
Cool. Jamie, would you like to talk into this camera? Tell people where they can find you, where they can follow you, all that kind of stuff.
You can find me on Instagram at Jamie the Oliphant, and you can find me on TikTok, which is on at Jamie Ollie, I think, at the moment. And and it'd be great to see you there.
Jamie the Oliphant is such a good, that's such a good handle.
Thank you. I was so happy when I realised it was not taken.
Yeah.
Because Jamie Oliphant was taken. And,
What?
Yeah.
There's another Jamie Oliphant?
There's another one, and it's
Motherfucker.
devastating. I think he's like a sort of massive property developer as well. So,
Oh, fuck, I hate successful people.
I know.
Would you like a flat earth joke to end the podcast?
Yes, please.
Okay. I debated a flat earther once. He stormed off saying he'd walk to the edge of the earth to prove me wrong. He'll come round eventually.
Nice.
For this podcast, that's actually quite good.
That is really good. I like that. I love a good dad joke as well.
Yeah.
That would just be,
That's the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Please like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. The more lovely subscribers we get, the more episodes we'll make. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok for regular updates and exclusive videos at Believe Conspiracy Pod. We love you. Bye.